KBLA Talk to you. Lead down, I got a two-check. And that's right, KBLA Talk to you. Lead down, I got a two-check. And that's right, KBLA Talk to you. Lead down, I got a two-check. And that's right, KBLA Talk to you. Lead down, I got a two-check. And that's right, KBLA Talk to you. Lead down, I got a two-check. And that's right, KBLA Talk to you. Lead down, I got a two-check. And that's right, KBLA Talk to you. Lead down, I got a two-check.
Welcome in, it's your fam. Happy Monday. I hope your weekend was restful. And you are ready. You got your snacks and beverages. And you are ready to get into these trending topics and headlines with Joe Munroe. It's going to be alright, Dr. Diddy. You know I got you. You can't hang. Here, go put that on you. You can hang. You ready? We're going to get into all of the things that have kept the timeline buzzing all weekend long. First up, we're talking WNBA summer. Season just officially started, and already it's the go. Okay, should mention that Angel Reese and Kerry Morgan played each other this weekend, and it was significant.
And that's right, KBLA Talk to you.
Right, the on-court clash has sparked a WNBA investigation. Commentary from former NFL players going at each other, and once again shows that the fans as well are taking sides, setting the plan, pretty much reminiscent of Magic and Bird back in the 80s.
And that's right,
And you digress, you can answer that. Not yet? Okay, we'll get into that. And, of course, we are talking Tom Cruise. He is not paying I can tell you style.
And that's right, KBLA Talk to you.
But
Lead down, I got a two-check.
points to
And that's right, KBLA Talk
into
to
the
you.
movie business
Lead down, I got a two-check. And that's right, KBLA Talk to you.
he doesn't
Lead
want to
down,
be the
I got a
last.
two-check. And that's right,
This
KBLA
guy
Talk
has
to
what
you.
it takes. So,
Lead
we're
down,
going to
I
get
got
into
a
that.
two-check.
And,
And
of
that's
course,
right, KBLA Talk to you.
three of the
Lead
Diddy
down, I
files,
got a
John
two-check.
Richards
And that's right,
and
KBLA Talk to
best
you.
friend,
Lead down, I got a
best friend, I
two-check.
should say,
And that's
took
right,
to the
KBLA
stand
Talk to
today,
you.
and it was,
Lead down, I
as
got a
per
two-check.
usual,
And
a
that's
lot of
right,
interesting
KBLA Talk
information
to
that
you.
came out from that.
Lead
So we
down,
will
I
get
got a
into the
two-check.
teeth of
And
all
that's
of
right,
that.
KBLA
But
Talk
you
to
know
you.
that some pretty
Lead down, I got a two-check. And that's right, KBLA Talk to you. Lead down, I got a two-check. And that's right, KBLA Talk to you. Lead down, I got a two-check. And that's right, KBLA Talk to you.
And
Lead
this
down,
one
I
was a
got a
little juicy,
two-check.
a little
And
interesting,
that's right,
right?
KBLA Talk to you.
David
Lead down, I got a two-check.
the legendary
And that's right, KBLA Talk to you.
billionaire,
Lead
well,
down, I
he
got a
filed
two-check.
for
And that's
divorce
right,
from his
KBLA
husband,
Talk to you.
David Armstrong,
Lead
after
down,
just
I
2
got a
years
two-check.
married.
And that's
I know
right,
you wanna know
KBLA
that.
Talk to you.
I know you wanna know that.
Lead down, I got a two-check. And that's right, KBLA Talk to you.
Armstrong is
Lead
32.
down, I got a two-check.
And
And that's right, KBLA Talk to you. Lead down, I got a two-check. And that's right, KBLA Talk to you. Lead down,
they
I
tried
got a
tonight in
two-check.
2023
And
to
that's
keep
right,
things without a
KBLA Talk to
prenuptial
you.
agreement.
Lead down,
So,
I got a two-check.
Weapon, he's the
And that's
co-founder
right,
of
KBLA Talk to you.
executive,
Lead down,
and
I got a
retired
two-check.
for 15
And that's
years.
right, KBLA Talk to
Well,
you.
he's tied up in
Lead
spouse
down, I got a two-check.
future
And that's right,
separate
KBLA
property
Talk to
under the
you.
California law,
Lead
right?
down, I got a
So,
two-check. And
this
that's
is
right,
the
KBLA Talk to
chance that
you.
Armstrong
Lead down, I got a
may be
two-check.
entitled to
And that's
any
right,
of
KBLA Talk to
the
you.
$20 billion
Lead down, I got a two-check. And that's right, KBLA Talk to you.
But he is, however,
I got a two-check.
eligible for spousal
And that's right, KBLA Talk to
for 1
you.
year due to
Lead down, I got a
California
two-check.
calculation.
And that's right, KBLA
And
Talk to you.
definitely
Lead down, I got a
both
two-check.
spouses
And that's
support
right, KBLA Talk to you.
making it
Lead down, I got a two-check. And that's right, KBLA Talk to you. Lead down, I got a two-check.
might have a
And that's
formula
right,
that
KBLA
some
Talk
of
to you.
others need
Lead
to
down,
follow
I
if
got
they
a
want to
two-check.
keep jumping
And that's
in
right,
the
KBLA
line
Talk to
with
you.
the youth
Lead
and
down,
then
I got a
decide
two-check.
later,
And that's right, KBLA Talk to you.
unfortunately,
Lead down, I got a two-check. And that's right, KBLA Talk 1580. Be down bad. You gotta teach it. And that's right, KBLA Talk 1580. Be down bad. You gotta teach it. And that's right, KBLA Talk 1580.
American Copyright Act saying that they no longer have rights to their music, right? According to the complaint, UMG has refused to cooperate with the rappers, not resulting in revenue loss, but preventing them from entering into a new agreement with a new party and licensing. So basically, they're blocking them from getting their new monies today and signing a new agreement with a new label or whatever the situation may be. UMG is impeding their right to promote and make money off of the recordings for themselves. Salt and Pepper are seeking no less than $1 million in damages, a declaratory judgment, and a permanent injunction that blocks UMG from distributing their music without a license going forward, meaning that whatever UMG did with their music, Salt and Pepper would still be making money off of it, no matter which path they took with it. That is what they are asking for. We know that Drake has a suit against them currently, and Limp Bizkit also has an existing lawsuit against them. So, we'll have to see what is going to happen with all of that. But the music industry is an interesting place in 2025. Wouldn't you agree? Listen, when we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. You were locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you ready for the hottest entertainment scoop in Los Angeles? She's bringing you exclusive interviews with today's biggest stars, behind-the-scenes Hollywood insights, and all the entertainment news you need to know. She's breaking down what's trending, what's ending, and what's just beginning in the world of entertainment. You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say.
Let's do this.
Let's get it on.
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, call the bomb.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is Resilience in the Face of Chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
Love you. Love you.
Find what you love what you find. A total wine and more. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Guides in the know, and price is so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
With curbside pickup and delivery available, you'll always find what you love, only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Febreze.
As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs.
Picking up Oscar.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back, and you are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. So we had a little glitch in YouTube land, but don't worry, I'll catch you guys back up. First off, if at any point you want to get in on this conversation, 800-920-1580. Of course, we're available on social media everywhere at KBLA 1580. Me personally, I'm at Stiletto Jill. Hit us up, say hello, drop your feedback. We love it. Download the app so you can listen at your leisure, although we love it when you listen live. And drop in the YouTube chat because the commentary there is always interesting and exciting. So for those that missed it, I dropped details on 82-year-old David Geffen getting divorced from his 32-year-old husband. And David may have they got married with no prenup, and David may have found a way to protect his $8.2 billion estate, shall we say, in the divorce proceedings, but he has agreed to spousal support. So that's tea. And of course, we talked about Salt and Pepper suing UMG, wanting to be let go of their agreement that they signed, I guess, in the early 2000s. They want to enter into a new agreement. They want to license the music to UMG and make money off of any business that UMG does with their catalog there, but UMG doesn't want to. Salt and Pepper suing for like $1 million plus damages. So we'll see the outcomes of that. Now, like I mentioned, over the weekend, the WNBA season officially kicked off. And you know, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark is the 2025 version, I feel, of Bird and Magic back in the day. The Celtics and Lakers. We know that is what catapulted the NBA. That is what caused the NBA to take a turn. That's how the NBA went from tape delay to live games. That is when the word three-peat was born. Shout out to Pat Riley. Oh, really quick. I'm excited for the Knicks. I'm excited for Knicks fans. I got to give it up to them real quick. Go New York, go New York, go New York. Listen, the streets looked crazy after that Knicks win. So we'll see what happens, but that's a real quick there. So Caitlin and Angel, when their teams played each other, the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever, right? So a lot is happening with this game. First up, the WNBA is launching an investigation after there were claims of racial comments that were being hurled at Angel Reese during the matchup, right? It occurred after a hard foul from Caitlin Clark. Things escalated from there. And, you know, the WNBA is in a new space, right? New air. So how they handle this is going to be telling. Yeah. So here's the thing. Angel said after the game that it was what it was, let it be, move along. But that's not what fans did. Everybody on both sides had a lot of commentary. Excuse me. A lot of aggression. However, Ryan Clark summed up a lot of what needed to be said. So let's tap into what Ryan had to say.
We moved in to being able to read the expressions of a person and know their intent, know their character, know their perspective. But he does understand hate, because I think he also understands the hate of self. When you look at the play, which is all we can speak to as professionals, all we can speak to as analysts, Angel Reese pushed one of her teammates. Caitlin Clark had a hard foul, which is part of basketball. I feel like it was assessed correctly. And Angel Reese's reaction is the sort of reaction you get in a situation when you feel like you took an intentionally hard foul. That's competitiveness. That's rivalry. That's not hate. And so now, though, when RG3 jumps on to the hate train or to the angry train, it now follows along with what we saw from Keith Olbermann, what we saw from Dave Portnoy, as they poured on to Angel Reese to make her the villain in Caitlin Clark's heroic or hero story.
Right.
The one thing we know about RG3 is he's not having conversations at his home about what black women have to endure in this country, about what young black women and athletes like Angel Reese have had to deal with being on the opposite side of Caitlin Clark's rise and ascension into stardom. Now, when you look at it, I think A'ja Wilson is the face of the league. A'ja Wilson is the best player in the league. Caitlin Clark is the most important player in the WNBA. And a ton of her fandom has come along with some racial bias or some racial pieces to why people love her so much. And so now, if you're RG3, when is the last time within your household you've had a conversation about what she's dealing with? You haven't been able to do that because in both of your marriages, you've been married to white women. You haven't had opportunities to have those conversations to educate you on what they're feeling, what black women deal with, what they're seeing when they think of a young Angel Reese. And the whole time that he's mimicking Angel Reese and bobbing his head and moving his neck while he's doing this whole piece, his wife is in the back amening and clapping. And so to me, it's just another situation that now this young lady has to deal with. When I worked with RG3, he would make all of these sort of corny jokes about milk and how much he loved it and how important it was. And he always points out on social media the color of his wife's skin, as if the color of her skin is what makes her special, as if the color of her skin is what makes her a good wife. I've met the lady. I've had a conversation with her. Right. I think she's more than that. But it also leads to what black women deal with a lot from black men who have chose to date or marry outside of their race. They always feel like they have to go the extra mile to prop up the woman that they're married or the woman that they're with over black women by denigrating black women. I feel like we should have an opportunity to move past that and understand that Angel Reese can be great in her own right, as Caitlin Clark is as well. Caitlin Clark is a likable and lovable superstar. She pays homage to the stars of the past. She pays homage to the black women that have come before her. And now she is carrying the mantle forward. So there's no need to pin those two against each other and paint them based on stereotypical tropes. And I think this is what I'd like RG3 to know, that no matter how much he continues to echo the microaggressions of racists, he'll be no less black than me.
Hold up. Welcome back in. So listen, Ryan Clark had a lot to say there. And first of all, I'm okay. So Ryan Clark had a great deal to say there. And I want to touch on several points that he brought up. First of all, this rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, a lot of it is the fans. And you want that because it generates interest, obviously. But the racial aspect of it, and of course, it was there with Magic and Bird, but the social media era is different. People are more in your face. They have more ways to get up on you and harass you. That's just what it is. And for her part, Angel has done a phenomenal job in taking all of that. And I feel like Caitlin, on the other side, has done her part to try and keep some of that stuff under wraps as best she can, right? Because she can't control what people outside of her are doing. I think that she tries to, be even keel. The foul was what it was. That's part of the game. Do you think it was dirty, Andy? Did you see it?
HELL hockey sticks, no.
So
that was not hard. I'm sorry. Angel Reese flopped like a mug.
Oh, you think she flopped?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
What?
Okay.
That was not no hard foul?
Okay.
I'm sorry. Look, shout out to Angel Reese, but she's egging this on.
Okay.
She's egging this on.
So you agree with RG3?
I didn't listen to everything that RG3 said, but I know that she has embraced the whole villain role, considering the backlash. She's like, oh, you guys want me to be the villain? I'll be the villain. Quite frankly, I think she likes it. And I hate to say it. They're all in collusion. They know what was up. The WNBA, they knew what they were doing by having the Fever and the Sky play in the first game
100
of the season.
Absolutely.
And quite frankly, there's a part of me that felt like, you know what? Angel Reese did embellish a little bit with that quote-unquote hard foul. She was just like, you know what? Let me make a spectacle of this situation and get everybody talking. And she got the job done. I'll tell you that.
So here's part of the thing, though, right, when it comes to RG3 and why I feel like Ryan was spot on. And he brought some things up. And, of course, we know that Rob Parker was famously fired from ESPN. Rob Parker's a sports journalist, for calling RG3 a cornball brother. And at that moment in time, a lot of people seemed to act as if they didn't understand the position that Rob was taking, right? But I think the way that Ryan broke this down, probably more eloquent, probably more nuanced in illustrating what makes RG3 a cornball brother. First of all, I know that he is a black man, so technically you're allowed to be in black women's business, but dog, don't get in black women's business, like Ryan Clark said, when it is obvious you don't have a lot of interaction with black women. It's clear. This isn't a new thing, I would think. This isn't a long-term thing. As far as, I bet you if you look at his collection of friends, I bet you if you look at his wife's collection of friends, I'm quite certain there won't be a lot of black women amongst that. I'm really going to say none, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe there's one, but I highly doubt it. Ryan was also spot on in talking about how much RG3 brings up milk and makes those vanilla jokes and those corny jokes. I get it. Laugh with your pain, lean into the joke before they can joke on you. But the very nature of how you're handling it shows why you're a cornball brother. But beyond that, having your wife in the background laughing at you as you ping on black female stereotypes without truly understanding the nuance and the layers that come along with some of these microaggressions makes you look insensitive, makes you look like you're baiting. It's not a good look. And since you can't speak to that, and if you could, right, I've seen your defense of the cornball brother thing. And what I think with some men, not all, some men, but some men, I think like RG3, when they talk about how they are for black rights and for black people, they really are more so speaking about being for black men's rights. And black women really aren't in that mix of things. That's my opinion. That's my thought process, because there was no nuance to kind of his point. And listen, basketball's a game. Sports are a game. There's heroes and villains in it. They build you up to tear you down. That's what makes it exciting. That's why people lean in for the rivalries, right? So I'm not mad if you're making Angel a sort of villain. They both will be at different moments. They both will be the hero as well. That's the nature of the game. But, dog, watch your tone. And optics matter. Whether we think they do or not, optics matter. And so I think that kudos to the WNBA for continuing to get the interest going. We are at a time when race relations, conversations around these things are at an all-time high. There's not avoiding it. But I think that people like RG3 are playing themselves when they act as if leaning on the trope of angry, bitter black woman isn't just as simple as you claim that your critics were. So those are just some of my thoughts. 800-920-1580. If you want to share yours, they're always welcome. When we come forward, I'll get into the YouTube chat because they have a lot to say. And shout out to y'all. We'll get into more of these trending topics and headlines. You know that Diddy Cassie trial today. I'm sorry, not Diddy Cassie trial. Cassie's gone. United States versus Diddy. There's a lot of tea spilled there today. So we'll get into all the details of that when we come forward. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump is calling for an investigation into celebrities who backed Kamala Harris in the 2024 election, claiming they were paid under the guise of entertainment.
Look, he is speaking about Taylor Swift's political views and how perhaps it has impacted the support of the American public for her work, and I will leave it at that.
That's White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt today responding to a question about Trump's comment. Harris's campaign featured stars like Beyonce and Oprah, though Oprah says she was not paid. Black Maryland Governor Wes Moore has vetoed a bill to create a state reparations commission, saying it's time for action, not more studies. The state's first black governor pointed to existing efforts to close racial wealth gaps. And the Obamas are sending prayers to President Biden after news broke that he's battling advanced prostate cancer. Barack and Michelle Obama say they're thinking of the Biden family and hoping for a full recovery. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
In Diamond Bar, it's a crash. This is on the 60 eastbound Grand Avenue off-ramp. The blocking lanes of that off-ramp, delays away from Fairway Drive. Also, they got rid of that stall in Vernon. 710 southbound at Atlantic, all lanes are open. Delays pushing back away from the 60. We're heading out to Norco. This is on the 15 southbound past 6th Street. They've cleared a stall out of lanes. But that South 15, it's moving nicely until you make your way into Corona. There you're on the brakes away from Magnolia Avenue. Looking a lot better by Wyrick Road.
Are you sick of drying, chlorinated water in your home? At LifeSource, they believe your health, your skin, and your hair deserve better. Enjoy delicious, clean water from every tap with a LifeSource water system. Call 1-800-WATER-99 or visit lifesourcewater.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A jersey worn by Michael Jordan when he played for the Chicago Bulls in the 1992-93 season sold for $2.6 million at an auction over the weekend. The interesting thing about this purchase is that Jordan played only 17 games in the jersey that season. The Dodgers are still in first place in the National League West after getting swept at home by the Angels over the weekend. The sweep by the Angels did knock the Dodgers out of the top spot for Major League Baseball's best record. That honor now belongs to the Detroit Tigers. The Tigers in first place in the American League Central Division are 31-16. The Dodgers begin a 3-game series tonight at home against Arizona. The Angels are in Oakland tonight to start a 3-game series. Former Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Santonio Holmes, MVP of the Super Bowl in 2009, has agreed to become wide receivers coach at HBCU Central State University. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, y'all, come on. Pick up the drum.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power! Fight the power!
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like stress inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help.
You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
During this time, it's important for everyone to know your rights. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the U.S. Constitution protects every one of us, regardless of immigration status. The 4th Amendment requires a judicial warrant to search your home. The 5th protects your right to remain silent, and the 6th gives you the right to an attorney. Just remember,
No warrant, no key. My privacy. You don't have to speak. No lawyer inside. Don't say a thing. Yeah, we all got rights.
Hey, we all got rights.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. Maybe she is. Welcome back in. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Shout out to Hall & Oates, Man Eater. You know, well, it is that time. Well, before I get into the details of week 3, is it, of the Diddy and Cassie trial? These weeks are going by quite quickly. I want to get into the chat because there are lots of opinions going on there. And, you know, even Phoenix Rising kind of came for me. I got an answer for you, Phoenix. So, listen. JSB says, Caitlin Clark tossed Angel with one arm like a rag doll. She must be the strongest one in the league. Royal Jenkins says, RG3 cornball brother. Morris Phillips says, remember when Jasmine Crockett called out Congressman Byron Donald for his insensitive nature? JSB3 also says, RG3 left his former wife and children. His current wife played a home wrecker. Morris Phillips says, Andy is right. That foul was nothing. So Phoenix Rising also says, an investigation for what? Hank Aaron was getting death threats when he was trying to break Babe Ruth's home run record. There was no investigation. RG3 told the truth. Women shouldn't be getting any special treatment. You think the NBA players haven't heard worse? And finally, he says that RG3 is entitled to his opinion, and and Ryan Clark has some nerve when he has a white baby mama, because Ryan Clark's first baby mama is white, but his wife and the rest of the children are black, and he had to care for that first child, I believe, because the mother did not want to care for a biracial child. So that's what he's hitting off those shots at. So listen, and Phoenix says, I was stating my opinion. It was for the chat. Nobody is having an issue that you have an opinion that is different from mine. So please don't feel that way. All opinions are welcome. I just have a differing viewpoint, right? And it's not that RG3 has a dissenting opinion. It is, for me, some of the tropes, some of the things that he highlighted in support of his opinion that I think is black women. It's not fair. It is the very thing that is always hung on us. It is why young black girls at times are considered to be fast and, asking for it, whereas a similar situation with someone that was non-black might be considered a victim. We can go on and on into the different things, the different microaggressions. Yes, it's a buzzword, but it's there for a reason. Nobody is saying necessarily that the on-court incident was the worst thing ever. Angel herself even said it wasn't that big of a deal and to let it go. But fans, just like they can't with the NBA, when you remember when Russell Westbrook confronted a fan because they were talking trash, right? LeBron James has talked to fans. So it's not just about, from that standpoint, protect the women and not the men, or it's just the game should not be an environment where racism is rained down on the players. Do you know what I'm saying? That's all. So that's probably what they're looking into. And that's fair because fan safety, arena safety, player safety is important. Now, the other facts of the thing, whether you think Angel flopped, whether you think she's pushing it, yeah, that you are subjective to an opinion of that. But to portray her as an angry black woman when after the fact, or, just like that she's mad, she's playing it up, she's victimizing herself.
She is low-key playing it up, though.
And see, Andy agrees with you.
I 100% feel that she's playing it up. Once again, that foul was not hard. And like you said, right after the game, it wasn't really much of nothing. You know what I'm saying? I honestly think that if Angel just played ball, none of this dialogue, none of this rhetoric that you're hearing now would be out there. I mean, at this point, it's too late considering, where they're at. But once again, man, they egging it on. The WNBA is doing an investigation from who? For the players or the fans? Like,
I think it is also one of those things. If they do nothing, somebody's going to be mad. If they say, okay, we're going to check into it, somebody's going to be like, why are you checking into it? So I think it's a thing, too, of crossing their T's and dotting their I's, because if it looks like they're ignoring an abuse of one of their players by the fans, and then it dives down into this undertone of other racial elements, it's a bad look.
I'm with you. I agree. WNBA has to save face. They have to say that they're doing something. I think the ball in a lot of ways is in Angel Reese's hands, right? It's the same thing with Draymond Green talking about, the narrative about me being the angry black man. Bro, just stop choking people, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Like, calm your emotions down. And I hate to say it, I think the WNBA, once again, I'm saying it again, I'm repeating myself, this whole investigation, the fact that you're putting it out there, right? You're crossing your T's, you're dotting your I's, it's part of the shenanigans.
Part of the marketing aspect.
It's part of the marketing. We getting money. I get it. We talking about it.
All right, well, let's get into some of these details from week 3 of the Diddy trial. John Richards took the stand today, along with Cassie's former BFF, Kerry Morgan. We've heard a great deal about Kerry. She was with them, Diddy allegedly attacked her with a wooden hanger. And so we'll start with Dawn really quickly. What we can say is that Dawn got a little confused in some of her testimony. They had to read her back some of the things that she said before, some of the things she did mention and did not mention. For example, Diddy attacking Cassie with the frying pan and eggs. That was all over the place. There were different versions of the story depending upon the date that was pulled up. She said she didn't remember saying certain things. The defense attorney on cross also accused her of just being in this for the money because she doesn't have any stardom anymore. Dawn was so afraid and fearful of her life. Remember, she said that Diddy told her the day following the eggs and the frying pan thing, people end up missing if they talk. And Dawn says she took that to mean death. Well, on cross-examination, they broke down that how following that, not once, but twice, Dawn reached out to Diddy wanting to work, wanting to put it back together. She said one of those times was for Kalima. But if you thought this man was capable of murdering you, you watched him beat Cassie all of these times, why are you suddenly trying to get back in the business with him from someone that you fear for your life in? She talked about, Diddy being on drugs and who supplied them and who brought them. But here's an important thing. She didn't witness the transactions. She also talked about seeing guns in the studio, but oh, by the way, she didn't see Diddy's hands on them. She just said they were there. You could say they were left out for intimidation, but were they? Because she never saw Diddy with the gun or waving the gun around. So basically, they also pointed out when Dawn decided to file her lawsuit, there were even facts that were mentioned in her lawsuit that she said she never said when she was on the stand, and they had to show her and remind her, and Dawn said, oh, my lawyer must have made a mistake. So basically, they cracked open Dawn's credibility as far as a lot of things that she allegedly saw, witnessed, and her motive for doing so. When we come forward, we'll get into Kerry Morgan, Cassie's former best friend's testimony, and more trending topics and headlines. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, also known as AD, a type of dementia that affects memory, thinking, and behavior, making everyday tasks challenging. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? There are things you can do to help reduce your risk for developing AD. Managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure is crucial. Staying physically active, maintaining social connections, eating a healthy diet, and keeping your mind engaged with activities like reading or puzzles can all contribute to brain health. It's also important to recognize some common signs and symptoms of early AD, such as forgetfulness that causes problems with everyday life, asking the same question a few times in a row, and difficulty concentrating on basic tasks. If you see these signs in yourself or a loved one, don't wait. Early diagnosis and intervention are key to managing AD effectively. To learn more about AD and a potential treatment option, visit treatallzearly.com. That's treatallzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
During this time, it's important for everyone to know your rights. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the U.S. Constitution protects every one of us, regardless of immigration status. The 4th Amendment requires a judicial warrant to search your home. The 5th protects your right to remain silent. And the 6th gives you the right to an attorney. Just remember,
no warrant, no key. Privacy. You don't have to speak. No lawyer inside. Don't say a thing. Yeah, we all got rights.
Hey, we all got rights.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. IG or find them on Instagram at WalkGoodLA. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Like I mentioned, there is a lot going on in the chat. Join in that conversation because they are going in. Teal Spawn says, last year Angel fouled Caitlin hard and another teammate. Caitlin just got up. Let's play. Angel really seems like she can dish it, but not take it. Ooh. So, yeah. Jump in there and leave your commentary. I love to hear that. Let me give you a couple of details on Kerry Morgan taking the stand and a couple of things I forgot to mention from last Friday that happened. So there was a Homeland Security agent that took the stand that was there when Diddy was arrested back in September. Let's just say that what they discovered while they were there were the ingredients for what? A freak off. Diddy was trying to have one last freak off before he turned himself into jail. Now, that in of itself is not illegal, right? I mean, I don't think. There was like $8,000 or $9,000 in cash, baby oil, the Diddy lights that they talked about, like he had mood lighting. He had moved on from candles to, those lights that set the mood and stuff like that. And pink cocaine, which we heard about. So the question is, who was coming through? And were the escorts on deck? I don't know. But if you want to think that changed behavior, I guess, since Diddy is, I don't know if they're claiming that he is still a drug addict in rehab, where he's at in that process, but that was what was revealed on Friday. Now, getting to Kerry Morgan quickly, Kerry and Cassie are not friends anymore. They are not friends anymore because when Diddy hit her in the head with that wooden hanger and choked her, she said Cassie didn't do anything. And when she, meaning Kerry, wanted to sue Diddy, Cassie basically hit her with I think you might be doing too much. And Cassie ended up paying her money for a settlement, but Kerry said on the stand that money was from Diddy anyway. But Cassie said she paid it herself. That should be noted. Now, Kerry said that she and Cassie met in 2001. They were both models. They lived together for a time in Manhattan. She went with Diddy and Cassie all over the world, Ibiza, numerous places, Italy, all the time. Remember, Cassie at one point felt that Diddy might be interested in Kerry, that she was a little jealous of their interaction. Oh, by the way, Kerry said that Diddy had several girlfriends, or was it Don? One of them. But when they named out the girlfriends, they listed Kim Porter as one of his girlfriends. Yes, the children's mom. They also listed out Sarah Chapman, who is Diddy's daughter Chance's mom. That was interesting news. And 3 other women. So Diddy was out in those streets, as we were aware of. Once again, Cassie wanting the exclusive relationship and Diddy being spread in multiple places. She said that being with Diddy, Cassie lost her self-esteem. She admitted that there was lots of drugs around, that Diddy supplied the drugs, that she and Cassie did opioids together. Now, she says that the reason why Diddy hit her in the head, not because of the fact that Cassie and Kerry were doing drugs, like Diddy's defense team insinuated, but because Diddy was jealous and wanted to find out who Cassie was talking to at that point in time, right? So she basically said that, she and Cassie have not talked since she got that settlement. She is a personal assistant. She is out of these people's lives. She lives in Los Angeles. She is only appearing because she was subpoenaed and she wants no parts of the circus. And that Diddy did beat Cassie up and that she was not totally aware of the freak-offs, so to speak. So, it is what it is as far as that is concerned. The cross kind of, basically, they did what they did with her. I feel like if you want to look to, I don't know if from the sounds of it. There was a winner and loser per se. Again, we're just taking this day by day. We know that there's a long trial happening and each layer is a piece to the puzzle. But Dawn did herself and the notion that Diddy is running a criminal enterprise no favors, I think, by misrepresenting certain facts and certain things, and showing that although she said she was scared of him, thought that he would bring death if she talked about any of these things, not so much so that she wasn't willing to circle the back twice and try and make these situations work. So it does make you wonder, right? There was no coercion there with that, as has been insinuated that Diddy does in all of these situations, because it's not Diddy versus Cassie, remember, it is a criminal enterprise. So it is all of these elements collectively, not just one. So thus far, I don't know. Because like I said, Dawn said that she didn't exactly see money changing hands and she didn't exactly see some of these things happen. And here's the thing, right? If I say, hey, can you go pick up my dry cleaning for me, right? And you go pick up my dry cleaning and my dry cleaning is really some illegal substance, but you didn't know. If you get caught, you could be charged, but can you be charged after the fact? Am I running a criminal enterprise, or am I just asking someone to do something for me with no knowledge? These are the type of things. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing. This is loose. This is not the legal definition, but I'm just setting up some of the things because the defense doesn't have to prove that Diddy is innocent. They just have to prove reasonable doubt. And that's what people are forgetting. Yes, he beat Cassie down. Yes, he was horrible. Yes, he probably beat her for no reason at all. Absolutely. And he was a terrible, terrible man. But he is not on trial for domestic violence. And I know we keep saying that, oh, but that is the coercion. That is the force. But you also have to remember that they were in a relationship. And what of these actions are relationship-based or work-based? And again, at what aspect if these employees, because remember, Cassie herself said that no one knew about the freak-offs. She said they took great pains to keep it a secret. She also said that they covered up the travel for the employees. So here's the thing. Yeah, it's illegal because they were making up these fake reasons for these people to travel. But is it an enterprise if the people that are working for you are unaware of the status, the real status of these individuals? We'll have to see what type of questioning, what type of instructions the jury is left with. But those are the things that are, out there to be brought into consideration. Andy?
This is still the first quarter of this trial.
Right.
First quarter.
You probably got about 5 weeks.
About 5 weeks. So far, prosecution versus the defense, in your opinion, what's the scoreboard like?
I mean, if you just go from the perspective of Diddy's character, they've shown he's a vile individual, right? So that automatically to me says, well, you could have done these things. You could have very well forced her. We've seen some questionable things, but what woman in her right mind would want to do this? But Cassie wasn't in her right mind. She was a drug addict, as was Diddy. So what type of...
That cancels it out then, right?
Possibly. There's a lot of things, which is why things like Don's testimony, other people's testimony will come into play as far as the criminal enterprise, the RICO. I mean, do they have them on prostitution? Yeah, but you can say Cassie was forced, but you can also say Cassie did it on her own. Reasonable doubt. Right? So we just have to kind of see, as they formulate and lay out more evidence, how it all develops. Andy?
So far, I'm going to just say that, of course, I agree. I do think that they have made Diddy this vile individual, but it seems at the same time that there were also other parts that have been willing participants in a lot of ways. Yeah, there might have been like this had of fear kind of hanging out over them, but with some of the text messages and it just seems like everybody was down with the business.
It's very complicated because as I've said, and I'm sure it's going to come up, if Cassie couldn't leave any time, was Alex ever threatened? I'm sure if he appears on the stand, maybe we'll get that information, but nothing happened to Alex. Alex's car hasn't blown up. He hasn't disappeared, and he and Cassie are together. Wouldn't you think that some type of bodily harm or something would have happened to Alex? Especially considering that Diddy paid him at one point to train Cassie? I don't know. We'll have to see. Listen, thanks for locking in. You know what's going on next. We have Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, coming up. Make sure you are back here tomorrow, 6 p.m. for more of these good trending topics and headlines. I'm Jill Munroe. Thanks for tapping in.
Hello. Good morning. Hello. Good morning. Know you've been waiting. Time for it.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. 7 of nearly a dozen inmates who escaped a New Orleans jail Friday are still at large. Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson, who is black, says the breakout appears to be an inside job, and 3 jail employees